Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so got Spencer Dinwiddie. He cleared the waivers at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific. So I'm assuming all is well with him signing his contract. I didn't check before I left the house. It was like probably just past 11 when I walked out of there. But it was, all things considered, it seems like he's a Laker, and we're very, very happy on this channel about Spencer Dinwiddie coming to us at a vet minimum price, because he's somebody who could probably make $15 million a year, maybe even $20 million a year, depending on who's paying. So we're definitely very, very happy to have him come home and play for the hometown Lakers, man. You know, at this point, I tell you the truth, as I look at the roster, when everybody comes back and we're fully healthy, this team is a lot more dangerous with Spencer on it. And I like other players' roles a bit better because of his presence. For example, Gabe Vincent, when we're fully healthy, Gabe Vincent now doesn't have to be asked to be the point guard necessarily as a facilitator. You can have Dinwiddie on the floor to run the one and have him as the two, and then run other players 3, 4, 5. I think, as strange as it's going to sound, I'm a lot more excited about Gabe Vincent's role on this team if he comes back now that we have Dinwiddie in place. Because what I think a lot of people wanted Gabe Vincent to be was a point guard. Now, how coach is going to run him, I don't know. And that could still give you the same dynamic that I don't want to see. But I'd love to see Gabe Vincent be asked to run the two instead of being asked to be the de facto one. Or if you want to put him at the one, that's fine. But don't have him being responsible for playmaking. God damn. Walk past this. Y'all see this? Spraying the hell out of this. Your boy here is allergic to certain soaps. And what it was doing was spraying soap out into the front of me. So I'm like, oh, hold on, I don't want to get hit by that. But anyway, so yeah, in theory, what it is Gabe Vincent doesn't have to play the one. You can ask him to play the two a little more when he gets back. You don't have to rush him back from injury. So all of that helps a lot in regards to how I see Gabe Vincent's role. So I'm excited about that more than I was prior to. I think now you can slot people in position to do what it is they're more likely to be best for doing. That's essentially what I'm saying. When you don't have to ever ask people to play the point guard role that are otherwise not pure point guards. Now you have that pure point guard in place. I didn't think we had it outside of D'Angelo Russell. Of course, bringing in Skylar Mays, who a lot of people don't trust to play the role as of yet, even though I like him a little more than most. I think at the end of the day, now that you have Spencer in place, Spencer is a true point guard. Even though he looks to get his own shot, he's an ISO scorer. You still feel a lot better about him being asked to run an offense and facilitate than Gabe Vincent, who shouldn't be asked to do that. Austin Reeves can definitely do that, but I'd rather him not be forced to play the one. And D'Lo, of course, is very comfortable playing both roles, so I'm comfortable with him being the one. But you know what I mean? I don't view Gabe Vincent as a one. So this gives us that one that can ask Gabe Vincent to go back to his role that he had in Miami and play the two. So that's what I'm looking at. Not to say that they're ever going to be on the same floor at the same time, because Gabe may not actually come back. And in theory, that's why you signed Spencer Dinwiddie, so that he can take his time with his injury or not be forced to play this year if he's not best for doing so. But what it does is, if he does come back, now your bench roles with your guards look so much more fluid to me. So much more fluid. In the sense that I don't have to ask guys to do stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. I don't have to mischaracterize Gabe Vincent as a facilitating point guard and then be mad at him when he only gets 2 or 3 assists. You can have Spencer Dinwiddie play that and be cool for it. So I understand that the Lakers, in order to sign a guy like Marcus Morris, will probably have to waive somebody. Unless there's some contractual benefits that are going to exceed the needs of the team itself. Like, let's say if we waive Christian Wood and sign Marcus Morris is better for Jeannie on she prioritizes that. If that's what the case is, cool. But if that's not what she prioritized, or if all things aren't considered that serious, I'm not up for waiving anybody on our roster for any of the names that I've heard that we would otherwise be questioning about whether or not we want to sign him or not. Joe Harris, I'm not waiving anybody on this team for Joe Harris. Marcus Morris, I'm not waiving anybody on this team for Marcus Morris. Bismack Biyombo signed with the OKC Thunder. Robin Lopez, I'm not waiving nobody on this team for Robin Lopez. I understand that you could benefit from having a bigger center, but none of those dudes are more talented than Christian Wood. They're just not. So for me, it's like I'm going to go with the talent. And I understand the argument that maybe we don't use Christian Wood properly, and maybe you would better utilize a shooter or something like that. But for me, I'm going to go with talent every time and just keep the more talented basketball player. Because at the end of the day, the way we've been bit by injuries, if I have to fall back and rely upon somebody, I want to know they're talented. With no disrespect to Robin Lopez, who has his gifts and strengths, he's not somebody I can rely upon to either get a bucket, stop anybody, or any of those things that I ultimately need on a basketball floor by default. So if you down to only 8 players and he's one of them, you're not better for it. Not in 2024, no. He was never really overly gifted in that way. So for me, it's like you're only bringing him in for specific roles to literally guard Jokic, as to which he cannot any damn way. He's big enough to make you feel good about someone as tall as Jokic and maybe as heavy as Jokic, but Jokic's going to eat his lunch all the time. It's not going to be a problem. So if I'm signing him up for most of the situations that he's going to be a part of are specialty situations, and I can more utilize Christian Wood in other situations more frequently, I'm going to keep Christian Wood. That just makes more sense to me. So for all of the folks who are saying, yeah, let's waive Christian Wood and bring it, nah, hell no. Hell no. None of that. Unless you find another Spencer Dinwiddie level player, I don't think we should be dropping anybody who's more talented for guys who are less talented. Just so that they fit a role that otherwise, I don't need none of that. Keep the talent, man. We've been bit by the injury bug too much for that. So that's my point of view in regards to that. I think the Lakers are in a good position so long as they don't waive the wrong people to bring in guys just because they can shoot, or just because the guy has a reputation, been in the league for 20 years. I don't need that. I need my team to be cohesive. So that's what I'm saying to all of y'all, cohesiveness. And what we have is the love of the understanding, and I say this with a lot of, probably speaking out of both sides of my mouth, because I've said we needed trades, but I don't think the Lakers are in a position to really regret not making the trade, given the fact that they don't lose anybody on the basketball floor and still bring in the Spencer Dinwiddie. That's a lot of talent coming in without anything leaving your situation. So with that being said, I think we are more likely, with Dinwiddie coming in and slotting everybody into their proper roles, having more depth on the bench so we ain't got to go to guys who are cold just out of necessity or forced to be playing young guys that may not be ready. I think we are more likely equipped to be a better team overall, especially come playoff time. And here's the thing. I think Spencer Dinwiddie helps us with a very specific need that I haven't heard nobody talk about, but it's very obvious. Late game execution. When I was looking at highlights that was posted of Spencer Dinwiddie, one of the things that were consistent in those highlights was him hitting buzzer shots at the end of a shot clock. He had hit a couple shots at the end of a game clock too. He tends to be good at late game situations. He has that ice in his vein type thing. It's in him. And so if that's what it is that we can gain from him, putting him on the floor at the end of basketball games and counting on him drawing enough away from the defense to let everybody have their opportunity of being a threat, now you got a whole nother dynamic that should make you, in theory, more likely to close late game possessions against a team like the Denver Nuggets, of whom has been killing us in the last 3 minutes of basketball games. So that is why I like Spencer Dinwiddie's acquisition, because Spencer Dinwiddie essentially can possibly hit shots in those moments as to where the Lakers have been having trouble doing so. So that's what I like about Spencer Dinwiddie. You want him on the floor in late game situations next to your D'Los, next to your Austins, next to your ADs and Brons, so that they can all be a threat on the basketball floor. And you don't have some of the issues that we've had offensively. With the injury bug being as it is, you still have someone lethal if D'Lo goes down. you still have someone lethal if Austin goes down, that can play big minutes, be expected to get his 20 points, 5 assists, and ultimately be good down the stretch of these basketball games. So late game execution artist is what Spencer Dinwiddie can potentially be for us. And I like that because that is exactly what we need. And so, here we are looking at the game that we just had 2 days ago. It would have been great if he would have been available 2 days ago against the Denver Nuggets. I think we probably would have had a lot more out of him given the fact that D'Lo didn't play. And you saw how well D'Lo shot last night. You got both of those guys subbing in for one another. It could be a dangerous thing for the other team. Now, I don't know what this means for, like I said, our other guards. Jalen Hood-Schifino probably spend more time in the G League in the second half of the season to get his minutes and develop. I'm actually low-key kind of pleased that we didn't just up and trade him for just to get a role player. I'd rather see what he can become since we have him. I think that makes more sense. Let him build slowly. Let him play next to Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Spencer Dinwiddie can help him in maybe ways that D'Lo maybe is not expected to. And nobody else on this team can really help him with the point guard position in ways that maybe Spencer will be able to. So maybe he can spend some time with that young fella. But, all in all, I like this for Jalen Hood-Schifino in the sense that we don't have to ask him to play any minutes at all for the rest of the season. And he can get some G League minutes and really go. We won't have to rely upon him at all, even if people go down, in theory. So Gabe Vincent don't have to come back. I still honestly want to see Skylar Mays in rotation to some degree, although rotation is a strong word when you consider how many guards we got. But I would love to see more of him. I don't want him to get buried behind the bench. I think he's better than that. And I think he's already proven that in very short minutes, that he's not just some role guy. As I said when he was with Portland, he's not just some role guy. He's a guy who's trying to make a name for himself. And if we give him the opportunity to do so, I think we'll be pleased with what we ultimately get from him offensively. He seems like a good decision maker. He seems like he can set guys up pretty well. He seems like his handle is strong. And I like how others look on the floor when he's down there with him. Mays and Hayes. So I don't want Mays to lose his minutes just because he's picked up Spencer Dinwiddie, but it's only but so many minutes we can give to everybody. So we're not going to overthink that. It's to say he's going to take minutes from Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is a 20-minute guy in this league, a regular rotation guy, maybe even a starter in certain situations, depending on how Darvin wants to do it. So, sacrifices will be made to people's minutes. But ultimately, I still want to see Skylar Mays get his minutes out there. And so, yeah, man, it's the things that we're thinking about. The Lakers are not a bad team right now. I know we could be better. We can be better. We can still do some things, some tweaking. Some guys can still come back, make us a much more full basketball team by being more healthy. There's a lot of things we can do. But at the end of the day, based on what it is we have right now, I think it's safe to say this team got significantly better just by adding that one piece. It should slot other people in positions to be themselves a bit more, take more time off on their injury, rest or what have you, come back and get a little more strong. You don't need Max Christie to come in and try to be too much. You don't need, other guys because you got that piece coming in who has playoff experience, who has NBA Finals appearance with the Dallas Mavericks. This is a good piece to bring into your basketball team. So, yeah, man, pretty excited about it. I hope everybody else is as well. It ain't going to cost too much for our cap, so obviously you're going to have a player there who's playing at a high level on a low contract. Only for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, it would be great if we had him for multiple years, but that's not the case. But, this should be good. This should be very, very good for our team. And you look at it as if for some reason he goes down with an injury, worst case scenario is you look exactly the way you used to being looked. And your team looks the same as it's always looked. And so I just really like this. I like this for our team a lot. It's probably best case scenario when you consider he's probably a little too good to be getting bought out too soon. He's only 30 years old. And for him to be as good as he is, this is a rare occasion for a player this talented to be bought out. You just don't see it. I mean, you consider a guy like Gordon Hayward was bought out. Was traded for. Gordon Hayward was like 35 years old, 34 years old. Probably not expected to be as productive as maybe a Spencer Dinwiddie. Although I wouldn't say that he's not better than Spencer because I do believe he is. But at this point, Gordon Hayward's probably not expected to play as many games as Spencer. So if you would have asked me for the trade deadline who's more likely to get bought out and who's more likely to get traded, I would have definitely said Gordon's more likely to get bought out and Spencer's more likely to get traded. So That's what comes to mind, man. But as far as us picking up like a Joe Harris just to boost our shooting, not if it means we got to cut somebody, man. Not if it means we got to cut Christian Wood or, Jalen Hood-Schifino. I'm not up for cutting people at all to bring in a guy that I don't think has a whole lot left. Marcus Morris could help you come playoff time, but he's past his prime. If you know, he ain't quite got it anymore. If this was maybe 3 years ago, hell yeah, for sure, yes. He's a regular rotation player with the Clippers. The last time I saw him on the floor, he was pretty much done, man. He's old. Him and his brother, they're older guys now, so can't really expect for them to do too much in the NBA anymore, in my opinion. Same thing with Robin Lopez. I mean, twin brothers with Brook Lopez. These guys are like 36? And unlike Brook, he can't stretch the floor. He's not particularly talented offensively, so I don't expect a whole lot there. And so, yeah, man, it's some things to think about, though. I can understand why the team would want another shooter. More spacing on the floor is obviously something that we value, but I think Spencer Dinwiddie will hold that down. Well, from what I understand, I was over here listening to someone speak about his stats. I think he's shooting like 38% from the three. So, like, that's very good. That's very good. That's more than solid. So, I like what I saw from Spencer in them highlights, man. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm a Spencer Dinwiddie specialist, like I know his game like that. But in the highlights that I saw, he looks like he can shoot off the dribble a lot better than most of the players that we've had. A lot of our guys are catch and shoot guys. He's somebody who can get his on his own in the gym by himself, break you down, take you to the rim, finish pretty well, dunk with the one hand. He has some athleticism to him that you ain't going to find with D'Lo. So, I don't think he's a lethal scorer like D'Lo is, especially when D'Lo gets in his bag. We know as few can. But Dinwiddie brings some things to the table that give you a different dynamic. And I think he may be a more capable defender. Although I wouldn't say he's a lockdown or nothing like that. But he may be slightly more talented defensively than D'Lo and Austin. So we're going to get a look at him, though. There may be some things. We will update our information as we get it in regards to that player, because I ain't watched a whole lot of him. He's been in the Eastern Conference for a good majority of his career. When he played with the Dallas Mavericks, I wasn't particularly fond of the Mavericks. I didn't watch him like that, so I can't say I know a whole lot about Spencer. Other than to say I know he's from out here. I know that much. So, yeah, man. And I remember when he was with the Detroit Pistons early on in year 2 and year 3, and he started to break out. I remember that. Before he got to Brooklyn, I was like, yo, this dude can really go. He was fast. That's what I remember about him. He had some foot speed that was a little above average from what I was used to seeing. So that's been like 6-7 years, but he's a guy, man. We know that at this point. So yeah, man, I think the team should be fairly excited. I know we probably wanted to get Bruce Brown to fit other different types of needs and stuff like that. Our point guard need probably isn't as pressing as maybe some other needs, but I personally think that we were really counting on Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino being contributors. And the fact that they're not allows us to bring this piece in and allow him to play the roles that we were hoping those guys would play. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Happy about Spencer Dinwiddie. Welcome back home. Welcome to the Lakers. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.